Hi, and thanks for joining us again. Today we've invited Dennis Ryckman to join us and discuss the importance of quality audio when communicating online. Dennis is a 15-year veteran of the musical instrument and pro audio retail business. Dennis is a graduate from Fanshawe College's Music Industry Arts program, and he currently works as a producer and engineer out of his own recording studio and is a performing musician, singer, and songwriter. Thanks very much for joining us today, Dennis.
Thank you.
So today we're going to be talking about or discussing the importance of audio in online communications. And before we get into the details, I think our audience would be interested in knowing a little bit more about you. How did you get your start, first of all, in the audio area?
Well, my first exposure was to my parents' old 45 records: Beatles, Beach Boys, Stones, Monkees. Senior public school, I participated in the school band playing tuba. In high school, I played trumpet and several other instruments that I learned while I was there. At the age of 14, I picked up guitar, and that's been my main instrument ever since. In college, I went to Fanshawe College here in London for the Music Industry Arts Recording Engineering program.
Well, obviously, it's a work of passion, and that's always the best, is to get into something that you really like doing. Well, first of all, I'm sure that our audience is going to be interested in, the aspect of audio in business, and there's so much out there right now that I notice that's poorly created audio works, and more businesses, are leveraging online media to promote their businesses. Many are getting into video and audio broadcasting using tools like YouTube and podcasting, and I've listened to some pretty bad shows online and on blogtalkradio, and often find that the quality of the audio almost resembles a telephone call. So Dennis, in your experience, how important is audio quality in a broadcast?
Well, the first thing is you should always create your content with the best quality possible that you're able to produce at the time, and then distribute it based on quality determined by your audience's expectations and the type of content. So, for example, if you're somebody featuring complex video and audio, like an online television show or a music video, and you want to express the high quality of it, then you'd use HD video and CD quality audio, and then you'd upload that to your broadcast source, such as YouTube. If it is YouTube, then YouTube has, they create different quality versions of the content, and then your audience can choose which quality level to stream it at. As far as simple broadcasts with basic video or even just audio podcasts, lesser quality is acceptable as far as your delivery medium. Standard definition video, MP3 audio, such as 128 kilobits per second. So really the end product is determined by what your audience expects.
So obviously there's going to be varying qualities depending on the streaming media that you've chosen. So to overproduce something really is irrelevant if you're going to a low bandwidth kind of delivery method.
Well, you're better off starting off with the best quality you can do, and then downgrade it if you need to for lesser abilities to stream higher quality content. Somebody may choose the lesser quality one because they're viewing it on their mobile phone over a 3G connection as opposed to Wi-Fi at home. If you start off with a better quality at the time of creation, then you're going to hear better quality even at lower distribution rates.
So, Dennis, what about distortion and background noise? How does one who's just starting off kind of aim to eliminate this, other than obviously telling people to be quiet? But if you have just overwhelming noise like that, background noise, air conditioners and things, how does that work? How can you fix that?
Well, as far as distortion, generally that's a product of your gain, your levels being too hot or too high at the time of recording or creating the media. With a few test runs before final take, you can determine that your levels are okay and they're not going to distort at the input. Once you've got past that, considering background noise, noise from outside if you're in a room that's close to a window. Choosing your environment as much as you can is one of the best options. Find an area that has the least amount of traffic. Let the people around you know what you're doing so they can intentionally, be considerate and a little quieter. As far as air conditioning, generally that comes out on recorded media as a low-end rumble, and there's tools and filters available, EQs and whatnot, that you can actually do that after the fact and remove a bit of that and manage it.
So is there an easy kind of audio editing piece of software that people can use just to quickly do a fine-tune something?
There are many. Almost everybody makes one now, and generally speaking, a lot of them come free with if you buy hardware. For example, a USB or FireWire audio interface that you use to plug microphones or other sound sources into your computer will come with a light version of that company's professional software. Steinberg makes Cubase. PreSonus makes Studio One. There's Avid has the Pro Tools. With their audio interfaces, they all come with a light version of that software, and that includes a complete suite of editing and tone shaping tools.
Well, and that kind of leads to the next kind of question or series of questions, which is obviously you're working with the PA shop out of London, Ontario, and you have a whole slew of solutions, I'm sure, that include expensive mics, entry level, but probably good quality, for the home musician. But when it comes to actually somebody who wants to do this, let's say they want to be interviewed by our show in a Skype interview. In your case, we just wanted you to just be interviewed as somebody would be interviewed out of their home. So you don't have all the fancy stuff set up there. You've got a decent camera, decent lighting set up, and we can see and hear you properly. But if somebody were to want to go one step further than that, how would one go about acquiring the proper equipment to make it work?
Well, there's two ways to go. First, as just previously mentioned, was an audio interface, and 90% of them come as a USB or FireWire connection, and that generally gives you anywhere from 2 to 8 simultaneous inputs. And then you get a microphone as well and plug it into that, and that will get your audio into the computer at various qualities. You can record it at CD quality, you can record it at DVD audio quality, you can even go beyond that and create 24-bit, 192 kilohertz sampling.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is you don't need this sort of fancy what do you call it, XLR plugins, which are these 3-prong or 4-prong plugins. You can just use a regular sort of quarter-inch pin, and it plugs into a USB slot. But what about just plugging it right into a computer? Well,
USB microphones are available for that. Traditionally, in the last several years, they were the lower quality, simple things to get into the computer for entry-level people, but the quality of those products has increased significantly to the point where there's semi-pro quality microphones available with USB. They have improved quality in their converters, in their microphone systems. So for online media, USB microphone is a great option.
What about the mic itself? I've heard about condenser microphones versus, standard microphones. What's the difference in that whole world?
A condenser microphone requires a power source. In a traditional dynamic mic, as they call it, there's a permanently charged magnet. The diaphragm vibrates. There's a small wire attached to that hangs through the permanently charged magnet. When that moves, it creates fluctuations in the EM field that the magnet creates. That turns into the audio signal. A condenser microphone has a gold spluttered diaphragm and a backplate that is charged by 48 volts phantom power. When the diaphragm moves, when you've spoken into it, it changes the EM field that's created by the backplate, and that creates the audio signal. Condenser microphones are much more sensitive to dynamic range changes as well as frequency response, so it'll pick up quieter noises and louder noises better, and have a frequency response of much lower frequencies and higher frequencies.
So Dennis, when you hear a professional broadcaster, on radio, they often sound full and clear. That sort of James Earl Jones sound, this is CNN kind of sound. I know much of this sound comes from the actual vocal cords of the speaker, but if someone wants to spend a bit more on a professional audio package, how can they achieve that kind of sound quality?
Well, there's a free method to achieve an approximation of that. It's called proximity effect. The closer you get to the microphone, will produce two desirable things to achieve that effect. One is an increase in bass response, which gives you that deep, resonant tone. And the other is isolation from external sources. Basically, the closer you are to a microphone, the less gain volume you need on the input. And the less gain there is, then the less susceptible the mic is to surrounding noise. And as far as the proximity effect for bass response, bass frequencies are quite wide, so if you're a foot or two away from a microphone, those bass frequencies can actually wrap around the microphone and not get picked up. However, if you're right in the mic, and I'm sure you've seen that if you've ever seen some type of broadcaster speaking into a mic on seen some radio interviews or whatnot that have been shown, they're right up close to the mic. Those bass frequencies can now not get around the microphone. They're all captured right at the source, so you get the deep resonant tone that you're looking for.
That's right, and I've often seen they're actually literally their lips up against the foam in those broadcasts. Well, these are great tips, and obviously, if anyone is looking for the parts required in order to fit their budget, check out Dennis's website. He works at the PA Shop in London, Ontario. You can check it out at pashop.com. Dennis, thank you very much for joining us and spending a bit of time kind of demystifying the world of audio for us.
You're welcome.
Once again, we've been speaking with Dennis Ryckman. He is he's technical expertise is often sought out after at the PA Shop in London, Ontario. He's a customer service rep at the PA Shop. And thank you again, everyone, for joining, and talk to you and see you again real soon.